Welcome back to MgM Paints, where today we revisit BLKOUT. We're going to paint up an operative from the Manticor Bors Group. The Manacor Bors Group is an elite fighting force in the right arm of Chimera and extremist splinter faction of the MgM Civil War. They pride themselves on physical strength with layers of gene-enhanced musculature under layers of composite armor and bionic limbs. We are going to paint these guys very quickly today, using mainly Army Painter speed paints. I will put links for everything down below so you can follow along with me. I really hope you enjoy. To start, we take our model. I primed with black and then came with a zenithal of white across the top. You can achieve this through a rattle can, an airbrush, or you could dry brush. It's totally up to you. You want to try to stay at a 45-degree angle and kind of leave some of the darker areas in the recesses. The first paint we're going to go with is the Army Painter Grim Black. This is a speed paint that applies really well over lighter colors, which is why we decided to give this model a zenithal. And the majority of this model is going to be black. Now I am trying to avoid the straps here just for the video's purposes, but if you colored everything in with this color, when you go back to do some of the straps, it will easily paint right over this Grim Black. So you can either do what I'm doing and kind of leave them as they are, or you can paint right over them. The choice is totally up to you. Don't worry if you make any mistakes here. Grim Black is probably one of my favorite speed paints, and we're going to use a lot of it here. It just goes so well over white, as it gives you some gray, just really good highlights. But we're going to get his boots, we are also going to get his upper body, as well as some areas around his helmet and the gun. This model took me about 30 minutes to paint, and that was with filming, so I've been knocking these guys out in probably 20 minutes without the camera in front of me. As a note, and I think it's obvious, I'm not an artist, I'm just a everyday hobbyist that enjoys making hobby videos and sharing them with the community. I like to paint models, play games, and share them with you, and that's what this channel is all about. So when working on his arms, he does have something kind of around his upper arm area, not quite the shoulder, but I do want it to stand out, and I'm going to use red as my secondary color for these models. So I am going to avoid that. Again, if you went over it, totally not a big deal because we're going to end up painting it silver anyway. And with that complete, you can kind of see where I have poked all of the black. It is going to be the majority of the model. We're only going to use a handful of colors to get this done. I also forgot his weapon here, so I go back and touch that up with Grim Black as well. With that complete, the next paint we're going to use is the Army Painter's Plate Mail Metal, and we're going to go over all of the pieces that we want to be red, kind of our accent colors for this particular model. And I'm going to be going over these pieces on his shin. I'm going to get his helmet, and you'll actually put this color in on his arm where there's, I'm not sure what it is. I thought it may be some kind of digital computer or something like that, but you're going to be able to see some of the silver kind of bleed through the speed paint that we use, and I really like the effect that it gives. There's also some pieces on the shoulder that we're going to make red, and this was what I talked about earlier. If you covered these with Grim Black, you can easily go back over these with Plate Mail Metal or whatever silver you're using. The next color I went with is the Army Painter's Speed Paint Hardened Leather, and if you have the Speed Paint starter set, you're going to have the majority of these in your collection. So I'm going to use this to go over some of the pouches that he's wearing, as well as some of the straps. You will see that if you accidentally painted these Grim Black, this color will easily kind of go over that and still make it a solid leather color. I do switch these up randomly across the model. I do get the pistol holster that he's wearing, some of the straps, but I also use a secondary color for some of the bags, which is Camo Cloak. Also comes in that Army Painter starter set, I believe. So I just kind of alternate models and just randomly pick what is going to be that green color and what's going to be the brown color, just to give the model a little bit of variation. You could easily use other colors as well. For example, Sand Golem here would be an excellent choice. But these models pack so much detail. These speed paints just do so well really bringing these models to life. I am all about efficiency when it comes to painting my models. When you see them on the channel, I want them to look nice. I want them to be to a nice tabletop standard, but by no means are they going to win any awards. I just don't have the time to invest into that type of painting. The next speed paint we're going to use is Camo Cloak, and I am randomly going to go through again, picking out some of the other pouches that he's wearing, maybe some of the straps, and make them this color just to give it some variation. There's no rhyme or reason as to why a color goes to a certain area. If you look at other models that I've painted in this group, you're going to find a lot of differences between where the colors are applied. Our next color is going to be Army Painter's Blood Red. This is another speed paint. We're going to be going over some of those silver areas. And again, I really like this because you can see some of the silver kind of shining through, and it gives it kind of that shining armor kind of a look. For this color in particular, we're focusing on armor down around his shin. I'm also going to get those areas around his shoulders that I talked about earlier, just to give it a little bit of variation to break up that grim black color. And then I'm also going to get his helmet in this color, as well as his gloves. Now for the gloves, I did not paint those silver, so they are just getting this color straight on. He does have something on his backpack. I did cover a little piece of it with this color as well, just to kind of break that up. And the helmet, very simple. You just simply get this paint on your brush and it just really flows well into the cracks. You don't have to be aggressive with it. That is just another thing that I absolutely love about these paints. And looking at the model, we still have some areas of white, so I'm not 100% sure what colors I want to make this. It does look like there's some straps on his hand, so I did grab Grim Black, kind of touch that in, and then I went back with my hardened leather and just went over what I thought was a strap, and that kind of tidied up the rest of his arm. Each model is going to be different, so you're not going to see this on all of them. I then grab another speed paint Magic Blue, and this is an area that I painted silver previously. Again, it's going to shine through nicely here, kind of like he's got a digital computer there that he can read on. I'm not sure what that is, but that's what I thought it was. I also got this piece on his visor in this color that I'd colored silver previously as well. For the tubing piece that's kind of going into his mask, I grabbed Gravelord Gray for this, and this will make it a nice dark color. Gravelord Gray is a great color to mask anything that may still be white at this point. It does a good job going over silver and making it look a little bit dirtier, but at this point, if I'm looking at the model and I still see white on there and I'm not sure what color I want to make something or what it is, Gravelord Gray is kind of my catch-all, if you will. I spend just a few minutes going back and touching up with colors where I may not have gotten complete coverage, and we are almost ready to break out my secret weapon. Before we get there, of course, let's go ahead and hit that base, and for the base I used a speed paint Fire Giant Orange, and going for that kind of Mars type of texture. You can go with a lot of different colors depending on what type of base you're going for. The base for me is just simply PVA and sand. I did put that on before priming, so it got a nice zenithal highlight, which the speed paint will take nicely too. Alright, for my secret weapon after this dries, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I love Vallejo Iraqi Sand. It is one of my favorite colors to dry brush on kind of after the fact. And that's what I do here, dry brushing, getting the majority of the paint off on a paper towel, and then lightly dragging it across the model to catch all of the high points. This is really going to add some highlights to your browns and blacks. Overall, it is just going to give the model a dusty kind of effect. You want to be sure that the majority of the paint is off the brush and be very light here, and just work your way around trying to get the high spots, and this just gives an overall highlight and really brings the entire model together. You can use this color as well to highlight up the base. For the rest of the basing, I do apply some tufts from Warworld Scenics, I believe. Again, links for all this stuff will be down in the description below. And I've also got some Army Painter, this razor wire that I've had for a long time, and I think it looks really nice on these models. To use the razor wire, simply clip off a very small piece, maybe an inch, inch and a half, wrap it around your brush to form the initial look of it, and then you can just glue that down to your base and you're good to go. And the final step, we attack the rim, and again I just went with Grim Black here. May be better off using a full acrylic paint instead of a speed paint on this, but I'm going to give everything a nice matte varnish afterwards, so everything should be pretty good. And that's it for this painting guide. Using these techniques, you will blow through these miniatures very quickly, get them on the tabletop, and start enjoying your games of BLKOUT. For me, this is my second painting guide for BLKOUT. You can check out the other one for Harlow's First Reaction Force, and you'll see some BLKOUT battle reports coming to the channel very soon. I'd like to thank you as always for watching this video. Supporters Club, your names are on the screen now. Really appreciate your support. It's by no means necessary. If you've watched the video this far, you've done more than enough to support my channel. I ask for nothing and just really appreciate you being here. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.